How can you make money when betting on the NHL playoffs? You have come to the right place if you are looking for smart strategy to beat bookies during the Stanley Cup playoffs. We have discussed different ways to attack the bookies during the regular season of the National Hockey League via my numerous daily predictions. But what about the postseason? This is a completely different animal, so we must approach the playoffs distinctly. In other words, betting angles that work well during the regular season may flop completely in the playoffs. I wanted to verify whether I could find a profitable betting approach for the NHL playoffs based on the following assumption. The public tends to overreact to recent results. In order to verify this, can you guess what I did? As a nerdy statistician, of course I looked at past data. More precisely, I analyzed data on more than 700 postseason hockey games. For example, if a given team won the first game of the series but lost the next three, should we bet them since most of the public will probably overreact to the outcome of the past three games? Throughout this video, HS is going to mean the higher seed, whereas LS will correspond to the lower seed. The higher seed refers to the team that owns home ice advantage. Games 1, 2, 5, and 7 are played at the higher seed's arena, while games 3, 4, and 6 are played at the lower seed's venue. The data I analyzed included a total of 708 games, which corresponds to all NHL playoff matchups between the 2007-08 and 2015-16 seasons. Please note that I have decided to take out the 2012-13 playoff games. Why? Because the lockout shortened the season, which may have had an impact on how things played out, and I did not want to introduce a potential bias in the data. A word of caution before we jump into the main content. Several findings seem promising, but we often end up with fairly small sample sizes. That means you should take it into consideration before betting your house based on the results presented here. I'm not saying the results are worthless either, but please keep this fact in mind. This video is split into three sections. Section number 1 simply shows how much profit we made from betting the higher seed and the lower seed in games number 2 to number 6 of the series. Then, section number 2 will refine and improve the results based on what we're going to call specific path. Finally, section number 3 will reveal my final plan of attack when it comes to betting the 2025 NHL playoffs. I'm Professor MJ from Quebec City in Canada. Enjoy the video, my friend! Let's kick off the analysis with section number 1. In this segment, we're going to bet on all higher seeds and all lower seeds in game number X of the series. Also, we break down the results by the current series status. For example, betting game number 3 when the higher seed is leading 2-0, or when the series is tied 1-1, or when the lower seed is up 2-0. Let's get the party started! Let's begin with game number 2 of the series. The results are shown on your screen right now. In the next to last row, we are observing the results when the higher seed held a 1-0 series lead. Meanwhile, the last row considers the case where the lower seed had grabbed a 1-0 series lead. What about the different columns? I have left with the white header background the number of wins and losses obtained by the higher seed and the lower seed. If you keep moving to the right, we have a couple of columns whose header is green. In those columns, you can see how much net profit we made from betting the higher seed, along with its corresponding ROI. Finally, the last two columns with the orange header indicate the profit and the ROI when wagering on the lower seed. Let's take a hard look at the last row, for instance. This means we are focusing on the situation where the lower seed won game number 1. When we reached the second game of the series, the higher seed picked up a 26-20 record. Was that enough to produce some net gains? Let's look at the other columns to find out. The answer to the previous question is no. In total, those 46 wagers generated a loss of 3.21 units when backing the higher seed, for an associated -7% return on investment. Meanwhile, those 46 bets yielded a net profit of 2.71 units for a plus 5.9% ROI on lower seed teams. As you can imagine, the reason why we racked up some profit despite the negative 20-26 record when betting the lower seed is because we mostly took underdogs at nice, juicy odds. So, what is the conclusion to be drawn here? Several studies have shown that it is best, generally speaking, to bet road underdogs as opposed to any of the other three possibilities: home underdogs, home favorites, or road favorites. You lose less money on average by betting on road underdogs. Still, I certainly did not expect to find a positive profit simply by betting the lower seed in game number 2 of all 120 series in the dataset. The ROI is twice better when the lower seed won the first game, which goes against my initial hypothesis that people overreact to recent games. Let's move on to game number 3 of the series. The results are presented in a similar format as game number 2. The only profitable strategy is highlighted in blue, and it occurs when betting the higher seed in series which are tied at 1 game apiece. The rationale might be that the higher seed puts more effort and energy into such games because of the danger of falling down 2-1 with the next game being played on the road again, whereas they could be complacent when leading 2-0. But then, shouldn't they be playing with desperation when trailing the series 2-0? Perhaps their confidence is gone and the lower seed plays with more passion in front of their home fans after winning the first 2 games of the series on the road. Who knows? Are you ready to take a look at the results we got regarding game number 4 of NHL series? Wow, I absolutely love what I'm seeing here. At the very beginning, I said I wanted to verify if we should go against conventional wisdom by taking the team that has struggled the most recently. Now, focus on the 2 profitable cases that were highlighted in blue. When the higher seed leads the series 3-0, we find a positive profit from betting the lower seed. More specifically, we have won 2.52 units across 20 bets, a 12.6% return on investment. Meanwhile, when the lower seed leads the series 3-0, we make money by betting the higher seed. This time, the ROI jumps to close to 30%. I could not have drawn it any better than this. This is literally a dream scenario. It's time to consider the 5th game of the series. Can we get once more some results that fit perfectly with my initial hypothesis, stating that the betting public overreacts to recent results? Here are the results. Oh my god, it gets even better! Once again, things go in the exact direction I was looking for. If we had bet on the lower seed every single time it trailed the series 3-1 over the past 9 seasons, except the 2012-13 season, we would have made an unbelievable 53.7% ROI. As mentioned earlier, the sample size, 38 games, is fairly small, so we are probably overperforming. The true ROI is likely to be smaller, but signs are strong that it is a viable strategy. Now, if you had bet on all higher seeds when trailing the series 3-1, you would have made a 17.4% ROI, which is still nice. I'm impressed by the corresponding 16-7 record in such circumstances. Let's wrap up section number 1 by examining the results pertaining to game number 6. The numbers in the table indicate to bet the lower seed when trailing the series 3-2. That goes in accordance with the initial hypothesis too. For this reason, I like this option as well. Section number 2 of this video will discuss the following topic: specific path. What if we break down the results into specific paths? What the heck do I mean by a path? Let me explain. Consider the case where the higher seed leads the series 3-2. We just saw that it is a good strategy to bet the lower seed in game number 6. Now, is it even more profitable if the lower seed won the first 2 games and then lost the next 3, which means we saw the following path: LS, LS, HS, HS, HS. According to my intuition, it should be more lucrative because the public might overreact to the outcome of the past 3 meetings. Let's revisit some of the previous cases to see what happens. Please note that we cannot run this type of analysis on some of the strategies presented earlier, because there is only one possible path. For example, the higher seed leading the series 3-0 can only happen in the following way: HS, HS, HS. There is nothing to analyze here. Accordingly, we will revisit in more detail 4 strategies we saw before. Specific path, case number 1. Betting the higher seed when the series is tied 1-1. There are 2 possible paths. Either the higher seed won the first game before losing the second, or the lower seed pulled off an upset in game number 1 before suffering a loss in the second game. Let's see what the numbers are suggesting. Exactly what I was hoping for. We make much more money by betting on the higher seed when it lost its previous game. As a matter of fact, we don't seem to be making any money at all when it is coming off a win. Let's keep that in mind when we recap our final betting approach later on. Specific path, case number 2. Betting the lower seed when down 3-1 in the series. This can happen in 4 different ways, as shown in the table appearing on your screen right now. Still based on the reasoning that people put too much emphasis on recent results, we would expect to be making more money when the lower seed lost the past 3 games. That corresponds to the very last row in the table where we have the path LS, HS, HS, HS. Despite the pretty small sample sizes, that's what we observe here as the highest ROI occurs for this specific path, a mind-boggling 87.1% return on your money. However, I believe the main thing to remember from the table is that we are making money no matter what the path was. Specific path, case number 3. Betting the higher seed when down 3-1 in the series. We witness a similar pattern as the previous case. All 4 possible paths lead to positive returns. I like the fact that it is consistent with what we got in the previous case. To me, that is the key thing to keep in mind. Specific path, case number 4. Betting the lower seed when down 3-2 in the series. This time there are 10 possible paths that can lead to a series being led 3-2 by the higher seed. For example, if you put your attention on the last row from the table shown on your screen, we have the path LS, LS, HS, HS, and HS. This means the lower seed won the first 2 games of the series before undergoing 3 straight defeats. Again, I am thrilled with the results since they are in accordance with the initial intuition. Remember, we are betting on the lower seed, so we expect to make more money when the most recent games went to the higher seed. When the higher seed won the last game, which is the case of 6 out of the 10 paths, betting the lower seed led to an 18-9 record with a profit of 8.03 units. Pretty amazing! Finally, when the lower seed won the last game, we expect to make less money, which is exactly what happened. A 9-12 record with a loss of 3.84 units. So the final word here is to bet the lower seed when trailing the series 3-2, but only if it is coming off a loss. It's time for the third and final section of the video. It is also the most vital one because I will unveil my final betting approach when it comes to attacking the bookies during the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Based on what we've seen thus far, let's summarize the way we should approach the NHL playoffs from a betting perspective. Game number 2, bet the lower seed no matter the outcome of the first game. Game number 3, bet the higher seed if it won the first game and lost the second. Game number 4, bet any team that's trailing the series 3-0. Game number 5, bet any team that's trailing the series 3-1. And finally, game number 6, bet the lower seed if it's trailing the series 3-2 and if they lost the 5th game. This is the strategy I adopted after I ran my statistical analysis in 2017. But how does this game plan do in recent years? Should we modify some of its rules? To help us make informed decisions, I tracked the performance from the past 8 NHL postseasons. Here are the results. Each row corresponds to a specific year from 2017 to 2024. The columns with the blue header are reporting the overall performance, whereas the remaining columns, whose header is green, present the results for games number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6 of the series. Here is the first conclusion that pops into my mind. The betting approach defined in 2017 has done very well over the past 8 NHL postseasons. Indeed, we collected a total of plus 22.65 units via 261 wagers. The corresponding ROI turns out to be plus 8.7%, which is remarkable. Still, can we get even better? Let's find out if we can improve. The strategy regarding game number 4 did not fare very well. In fact, we lost 4.05 units via 27 wagers. Perhaps we should be cautious when taking teams down 3-0 in the series. We also suffered some very slight losses after using the game number 6 strategy. However, the performance was quite good throughout the 6 most recent seasons. Okay, listen up, my sports betting friend. Here comes the final approach I am going to use for the upcoming 2025 NHL playoffs. As stated earlier, the rules pertaining to game number 2 go against my intuition. For this reason, I am not a big fan of using this betting strategy. In this situation, I am going to bet half a unit. As far as game number 3 is concerned, it has fared well and I like its logic, so I'm going to hammer the bookies with 2 unit plays. We did not fare well on game number 4 wagers, so I will put down half a unit in this case. The 5th game of NHL series has done a superb job in recent years. Indeed, we have racked up some positive profit in 7 of the past 8 years. For this reason, I will be wagering 2 units whenever a team is down 3-1 in a series. Finally, game number 6 has had mitigated success in recent times. However, I like its logic and it has shown pretty good success across the past 6 years, so I will go with 1 unit wagers. There you go! You have my final betting strategy to make money when betting the NHL playoffs. Would you like to join my exclusive mailing list where you will receive directly in your mailbox the daily plays to make during the 2025 hockey playoffs? Not only will you be notified for each qualifying play, but I'm also going to update you daily on our performance during the 2025 postseason. Signing up for this mailing list is completely free. My goal is that we profit from the hockey playoffs together. Of course, there is no guarantee, as is always the case in the sports betting world, but we are doing our best. In this case, we are making use of a thorough statistical analysis. No gut feelings or irrational decisions. Just follow the link below, either in the comment section or the video's description, to reach the sign-up page. I'm Professor MJ. It will be a great pleasure to make you part of our NHL playoffs betting journey. Come aboard, my friend!